ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports, presents NASCAR. Today live from the brand new Kansas Speedway in Kansas City, Kansas, we present the inaugural running of the Craftsman Truck Series O'Reilly Auto Parts 250. After 11 events, the closest point race in all of NASCAR's major series. 126 separate the top two in Cup, 112 in Busch. And take a look here, just 6 points separate the top two, Joe Ruttman from Scott Riggs, just 147 separating the top 6 overall. Hello everyone, I'm Jerry Punch along with Busch Series and Winston Cup veteran Phil Parsons. Glad to have you with us. And Phil, brand spanking new facility, huge crowd, but the real proof will be what we see on the racetrack today. What could we see?
Well, Doc, this racetrack reminds me a lot of Las Vegas. It's wide, it's smooth. It may be the smoothest racetrack I've ever been on, but the guys here get lulled into a false sense of security. They drive down in a corner, there are no blotches, no bumps, nothing to tell them to get off the throttle. They're going to have to be on top of their game, but at the end of this race, as hot as it is out here, these guys are going to have to be really fresh, and it's going to be hard. It's
going to be a hot one. Yesterday in the garage area, ambient air temperature 104 degrees, the track temperature over 120 degrees. It's going to be a scorcher here today. And what a crowd here. Take a look at our Mopar starting grid. Dennis Setzer becomes the 5th different pole winner of the year, his 2nd ever career pole. How about the rookie, Ricky Hendrick, on the outside of the row 1. Jack Sprague, a 2-time champion, starts 3rd. Last week's winner, Ted Musgrave, starts back in 7th spot.
17th position, we've got Billy Bigley back there, 7th last week in Milwaukee. 20th, first local driver making his first series start, Aaron Daniel. 22nd, Rick Beebe, first start since 1998. In the 30th position, Trent Owens, nephew of Richard Petty, making his 3rd start of this year.
How about a sponsor coming on board for Bobby Donner, the Price Chopper folks at Discover Vision Center Chevrolet, back in 31st spot. David Frog Hall from the ARCA REMAX Series makes his first NASCAR Craftsman Truck start back in 32nd, and the remainder of our starters. And now let's get a little up close and personal with the 6 drivers who will carry our onboard cameras in today's O'Reilly Auto Parts 250.
Hi, I'm Terry Cook. You're riding along with me in the Power Stroke Diesel Garrett Turbo Ford F-150.
Hi, this is Brendan Gaughan. You're riding along in the number 41 TKO Dodge with the Orleans Hotel Casino and Target Saws and Blades.
You're riding with me, Scott Riggs, in the number 2 Team ASC CarQuest Dodge.
Hi, I'm Ted Musgrave, driver of the number 1 Dodge Mopar Parts truck. Come right along with me and see if you like this.
Hi, I'm Joe Ruttman, driver of the Dana Dodge. I would suggest a helmet.
Hi, I'm Jack Sprague, and you better hang on because you're riding with me in the number 24 Net Zero Chevrolet.
And there is the Net Zero Chevrolet for Jack Sprague. How about a description of this racetrack? 1.5 miles around. It's an oval, 167 laps, it's 250.5 miles. Banking in the corners, 15 degrees. Front straightaway, sort of a tri-oval area, 10 and point, a little less than 10.5 degrees. Back straightaway, almost flat. And the purse, $486,220. It's the inaugural event. And the pit window is still somewhat of a guessing game, I'm told, down in the garage area, Phil.
Well, Doc, I talked to a lot of the crew chiefs this morning. They said, well, you know, some of them said as little as 55, and some of them said as high as 75, which I think the 75 is a little bit on the outside. But I think it's going to be, just like we said, around 60, 65 laps.
They are back to the 390 carburetor, which they ran in Texas. And by the way, you folks who watched our coverage in Texas, 11 different trucks, including 5 liters, ran out of gas with a 390 carburetor. So folks, stay tuned. Anything can happen. Glad to have you with us here at Kansas Speedway. What a crowd on hand for NASCAR's inaugural Craftsman Truck Series race as we come down for the green flag. Turn 2, Ricky Henry slides up and loses about 3 spots, back to 5th position. Setzer the leader, Sprague in 2nd.
Teammates right there, Scott Riggs in the 2 truck, Ted Musgrave in the 1 truck side by side. Looking at Scott Riggs on board, we already have trouble.
1 truck has spun around. That would be the 74 machine looping around over there. That's Jason Small out of Bakersfield, California, the Small Construction Chevrolet.
Gets it going, gets turned around. I wonder, Doc, if the outside groove would be in right away. The IRL guys practiced this morning, and they were running some on the outside, so don't know exactly what happened to Jason, but around he went if he made any contact, it was very slight.
Well, first caution flag today coming out on the very first lap of the race. Jason Small looping it around, of course, from Bakersfield, California. And the first 3 events this year are 3 events early in the year for Joey Sontag, now coming back with their own family-owned team. Here's a look again.
Top of your screen, he was already turned around there. We don't know if there was any contact. But look at Ryan Rose just get by on the outside. Looks like there was not any contact with the outside wall, so Jason should be able to get back going.
Well, while we're under caution, let's check in now in the pits with our 2 pit reporters. First, here's Amy East.
Thanks, Jerry. And we did talk about the unbearably hot temperatures here in the heartland of America. It is well over 100 degrees, just the ambient air temperature. Let's look at what the surface is showing us right now. Digital barometer is shooting at 132 degrees. Now, what that means is that the extra heat will generate into the cab of that truck, making it very tough for some of these drivers. So, Ray Dunlap, my question to you is, what are some of these drivers doing to help prepare themselves for these very hot temperatures?
Well, Amy, I went through the garage and looked in most of the trucks, and 30 of them have cool boxes, which is like a mini air conditioner, and that will help the drivers a little bit. But I was odd to find that a couple of drivers didn't have anything for air conditioning. 2 of those, Ted Musgrave and Scott Riggs. Those guys said, we're going to deal with the heat today. But I don't think the drivers will have as hard a time as some of these crew guys will. There's a lot of air goes through the trucks, but the crew guys are standing down here on the asphalt, and look at these guys behind me. How crazy are they? They're wearing black suits today. I'd like to meet the genius that came up with this plan, right, guys?
Thanks.
Hey, Ray, I was talking to Fred Wanke this morning, and he was telling Ted Musgrave, who's, as you mentioned, one of the guys that does not have a cool box, he said, hey, it's not too cool on pit road either, so if you have to tough it on the racetrack, we're going to have to tough it in the pits.
And Willie T on pit road for an unscheduled stop. Amy, what's the problem?
Well, at the drop of the green flag, Willie T radioed in that his throttle was sticking, something you definitely don't want here at a very fast momentum track. So they are going to push it behind the wall and see if indeed something is hung up in the throttle linkage of that number 8 Dodge.
Well, tough break for Willie T Ribs and the Dodge owned by Bobby Hamilton. Bobby Hamilton Racing. Of course, Bobby Hamilton also owns the Joe Ruttman machine, the Dana Dodge, which is currently atop the point standings. Pace truck with Mike Dolan aboard, pulls away, and Dennis Setzer will lead him down to resume the racing.
That's Sprague running on the inside of Dennis Setzer. Jack, again, fastest in happy hour yesterday.
Running along with Jack Sprague's net zero move camera. Sprague, of course, who led the bulk of the race last week at Milwaukee, led 167 laps, only to be passed with 30 to go by Musgrave after getting a set of tires. Didn't agree with his truck, a little bit tight, he said. And the week before, Sprague led 90 laps at Memphis, only to have problems with the cut oil line. If they ever can shake their bad luck, they're going to be hard to handle.
Jack told me this morning, he said, I can guarantee you being fastest in happy hour does not necessarily mean you're going to win the race.
Take a look at the 99 truck on the right side of your screen. That's Nathan Hodsley, his best qualifying effort of the year out of Sun Prairie, Wisconsin. Nathan set out 2 events. He finished 10th in Texas and set out while they had Greg Biffle and Kurt Busch come run Memphis and Milwaukee respectively.
3 wide, going it down in the corner.
Hodsley starting in 4th spot, having a good run here early on.
It's Nathan on the outside, right there. That's Scott Riggs on the inside, the blue and white Team ASC Dodge. Following his teammate Ted Musgrave down in the corner.
There's a look back from the Ultra Wheels Team ASC Dodge. There's the 41 of Brendan Gaughan. And he's going backwards a little bit.
Settle down, we'll just settle down.
Got a little wide down in turn 1 and 2 right there. He needs to get back down to the bottom of the racetrack. And as the spotter said, just settle down, get back down to the bottom of the racetrack and go back to racing.
His 4th start of the year. Finishing 2nd his last outing in Texas. We'll tell you what happened to Brendan here just a moment ago. Got a little on the outside, real high.
He's on the outside of Travis Plummer right there in the red truck. He got a little bit high, wiggled a little bit, getting down to turn 1. That's what a lot of the guys have complained about mostly on this racetrack, is getting a little bit loose, getting down in the corner. Brendan got a little bit loose, wiggled, and got up on the outside.
You know, Phil, all these drivers said this track reminds them of a small Talladega because of the smooth transition into the corners. There's so much turn, so you've got to get into the turn here, and you've got to be able to get in quickly.
That's exactly right. And again, the guys complained about being a little bit loose getting in the turn. They try to get the trucks to turn so well through the center and off the corner that to from getting in. So it's a fine line these guys have to fight to get the truck where it's good all the way around the corner.
A couple of Hendrick trucks said they had to do something you wouldn't think you would do. You think you would do just the opposite, but they had to do something to make their trucks turn, and that's why they were so fast in that Thursday practice as well, as in both sessions and happy hour yesterday. Now they're chasing his 41-year-old Dennis Setzer, but he's getting a challenge right now from the two-time series champion, Jack Sprague.
They got a good run on him. He got a good run, got in the throttle quicker than Dennis did in the center of the corner, but was not able to get underneath him off the corner that he needs to do to get side by side to beat him down at the turn.
After driving the same truck that he finished 6th with at Texas, also 13th at Dover early in the year. I mentioned it's his second career pole, 40 races since he won a pole back at Indianapolis Raceway Park in August of '99. He is, of course, a 6-time winner. His last win coming at Memphis 2 races ago. You're right along with Jack Sprague.
See Jack gain on him again in the center of the turn, but not enough to get up underneath Dennis Setzer. The thing is, right now, Jack Sprague, he needs that air, the clean air, pushed down on the front of his truck so he can keep the truck down in the center of the corner. Right now he's in dirty air because he's behind Dennis Setzer. He may have a faster truck, but it's hard to get enough momentum to get up beside Dennis Setzer.
I know a lot of you fans watching at home wondering, what about tire wear for a brand new racetrack? A nice track that has so much grip. Well, Goodyear brought the tire from Texas, which all the drivers and crews that we've talked to have raved about.
They really have. The guy said they probably need to change tires sometime tomorrow afternoon. I think is when they may wear out.
Could come down to fuel mileage, and wow, that could make it very, very interesting. We're in the early laps, the O'Reilly Auto Parts 250 at Kansas Speedway. Back in a minute. Hard impact here in turn 2 brings out caution number 2 on the day on lap number 11. 2 trucks involved. That is the remains of the Rick Ware-owned machine of Brian Sockwell, the Brown Summit, North Carolina driver, former NASCAR Goodies Dash Daytona winner, and making his 4th start this year in NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series racing. Sockwell able to climb out a moment ago. We'll show you what happened.
At the top of your screen there, you'll see that's Trent Owens in the yellow truck first, and then there's Brian Sockwell in the 81 truck on the outside. We're not sure. It looked like there must have been some contact between the two, and real hard contact with the outside wall.
That'll fire beneath the 81, the Cooper wiring devices machine, the Chevy for Sockwell. He's trying to get unbuckled as the flames begin to erupt beneath his truck. Safety crews are in the vicinity, and he will get out. There comes the safety crews. He'll climb out and walk to the ambulance, which is certainly the very good news for Brian Sockwell, as both drivers had pretty significant impacts, but both are able to walk away from a hard crunch here in turn 2, bringing out caution for the 2nd time today. Back with more live Green Flag Racing from Kansas Speedway in just a moment. Back at Kansas Speedway in Kansas City, Kansas. 2nd caution flag today. There's the remains of the Rick Ware-owned machine that Brian Sockwell was driving a moment ago when it came into a hard contact in turn 2, probably over 170 miles per hour. He was involved also with the youngster Trent Owens, the nephew of Richard Petty, driving for Covenant Racing, and Billy Ballou, who made his 3rd start of the year. He's standing by with Ray.
Trent, looked like pretty hard contact out there. You all right?
Yeah, I'm fine. The truck's a little tore up, but we made it through the first wreck. The guy spun, but then the 2nd time, another guy, I think the 81, lost it going down into 1. And I thought he was going to spin the inside, went the outside, and he overcorrected. If I hadn't been there, he'd have probably hit the wall head on. So he's probably thankful I was there to hit, but it was a pretty good leg. But I think we're going to park the truck for today. We was just hoping to stay out and get a good finish for Dickies. And you know, this has been a tough weekend for us. We had poor qualifying, but we kind of moved up through the field, and we had a really good truck. But you know, I just want to thank Dickies for the opportunity, and we'll be back in Texas.
Okay, that's Trent Owens out for the day.
And this is the 3rd of 5 races Trent will run. The 26-year-old, as I said, nephew Richard Petty, his dad, the late Randy Owens, his stepdad, Barry Dotson, who runs Eel River Racing in Winston Cup. So a couple of pretty good guys involved in that family. Will also run Texas and California. And how about a guy who got some seat time earlier this week? Thursday in the open test session, a very special NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series visitor. Doesn't look like Travis Quapple. Looks like Phil Parsons, our own ESPN NASCAR Craftsman Truck analyst, climbing aboard the Cat rental machine, courtesy of Mike Adkin. He said, I'm not going to go very fast. He said, I'm just going to go out and take a couple of laps at the end of the day. Well, folks, I'm here to tell you he ran less than 5 laps And in Thursday's test session, drive that truck later in the year.
Yeah, Mike Addington got off the truck, and the owner, I want to thank Mike Addington and Rick and all the guys in the Cab Run Stores team that Mike said, you want to drive this thing? You want to drive this second truck? And I said, no, I think I'm going to be busy during the race, but I appreciate it. It was a lot of fun. Really, I obviously hadn't been on this racetrack, so I wanted to get a look at the racetrack and hadn't been in the trucks before. So, you know, it was really funny once you got in the truck. You know, I look around and there's so much room in the cab. It's a full 8 inches higher than a Winston Cup car or a Busch car. There's so much room in there. I couldn't reach my helmet that we usually hang from a roll bar at the top of the truck. But once you get on the racetrack, you kind of zero in out the windshield, and then it all looks the same. So it felt very much like a car once I got on the racetrack.
Yeah, don't get too comfortable. We need you up here, folks. He was in the top 20 in speeds in less than 5 laps, our own Phil Parsons. Back with the resumption of green flag racing from Kansas Speedway in just a moment.
Traffic early on today, finally into this racetrack.
Kentucky Speedway and its diehard racing fans gear up to welcome back the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Last year's inaugural race saw some of the most exciting wheel-to-wheel truck action, all in front of the 50,000-plus crowd. Turn on the lights and turn on the racing as the trucks take on the Bluegrass State next Saturday, 8 Eastern Time, right here on ESPN. Little battle in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series style at the Bluegrass State, the Kroger 225. And we'll talk about another beautiful racetrack, Kentucky Speedway, where you ran the Busch car earlier this year for Kerry Agajanian and company. What a great facility.
It sure is. This is just like this facility. It's amazing the facilities they build nowadays. Again, everything you would want in a facility here at Kansas and also in Kentucky.
Well, let's check in the Dana Dodge pits of Joe Ruttman with Ray.
Well, Jerry, some interesting strategy may play out down here on the track today. Phil made a joke at the top of the show that the tires could go most of the day. Well, I'll tell you what, some of the crew chiefs are actually considering not changing tires today. They'll definitely need fuel on the pit stops. Now, most of the guys are planning on coming in here probably on lap 60 for the first pit stop if they have that option. But a few of them were going to change rights. A few of them actually have talked about no tires at all. Now, Danny Rollins is the crew chief for Joe Ruttman, and he is on top of the box, been talking to Joe. Their truck's a little bit tight. But you notice Danny does not have a hat on today. And I told him, you're really going to get a bad sunburn up there on the top of that noggin with all that skin showing. He said the races that we've won this year are the 2 that I did not wear a hat. So he says, I don't care if all the skin peels off my head. I'm not wearing a hat today. Maybe we'll get back to victory lane.
All right, well, Danny is, none of these guys are very superstitious, but the sun is beating down on Danny's noggin right now as we still work caution for the second time today. We'll come back with more green flag racing in Kansas City in just a moment. Welcome back to Kansas Speedway, NASCAR Craftsman Truck action only on ESPN, the worldwide leader. So there are many reasons the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series remains so competitive, including rule changes to keep the playing field level, which is the subject of this week's Craftsman Pit Profile.
As the rules continue to change in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, the officials are looking for just the right balance of speed. And one way to do that is with air into the engine. Now, this is the air element we've used the last couple of weeks. It's an open system where the entire air element is exposed. Now, by putting that on the carburetor, you're actually drawing in ambient air from inside the engine compartment. Now, this air right in here might be 100 degrees hotter than outside air. And when it's sucked into the carburetor, that's very warm air. So this week they've gone to a ram air induction. Outside air goes into this system, down a tube, and into a completely closed-in element. Now, this is much cooler air. This air may only be about 15 degrees warmer than outside air temperature. So it's much, much cooler than the old system. And much cooler air makes a lot more speed.
And engines are just like athletes. The better an engine can breathe, the better it can perform. Like a distance runner, if you have to breathe hot air, you can't run as fast. If you can breathe cooler air, you can go a little further and be a little more efficient.
That's exactly right, Doc. And also, NASCAR wondered about the size of the cavities where the engines go and the different makes was different. So this is one way of equaling that playing field.
Green, green, green.
Said any better myself. Going back to green flag racing. You hear the spotters tell the drivers up front that the green flag is waving from Dion Hinsky, and then a sector pulls down and will lead it down to turn 1 with Jack Sprague Sprague in hot pursuit. Back in third spot is Ricky Hendrick in the 17, the GMAC Chevrolet. They are side by side for fourth.
Good sign right there that the lead lap trucks were able to get on the outside of those. Look at Joe Ruttman on the inside, making it 3 wide, going down into turn 3. But the guys are able to make some good time on the outside of the racetrack. That should be make for some really good side-by-side racing.
Here's a challenge for the lead. Sprague.
Looking inside to the door. He's there, clear behind the 24.
We saw Jack working, trying to get that momentum, trying to get a run on Dennis coming off the turn. Finally was able to get it done. See Ted Musgrave in the one truck right there. He's trying to do the same thing to Ricky Hendrick. Now Ricky Hendrick's pulling up on the inside.
And here's the 50 truck. John Wood spins and the trucks go by on both sides. So far everyone has missed him off of turn 2. But Wood coming off 2 impressive performances at Memphis and Milwaukee, finishing 14th and 12th. Spins the Eldon Ford for Jack Roush Racing and
Try to catch up. Don't get going too fast if a tire will blow.
Barely a tire going down. That's Max Jones, who's the team manager and the spotter. High above the grandstands talking to the young 19-year-old John Wood.
Good news is, Doc, he did not hit anything, so they can get some fresh tires on there and he'll be back to racing.
We can show you again what happened a moment ago over in turns 1 and 2.
He's up high, right up against the wall there. There's the lap truck of the 74 of Jason Small, and don't know if he maybe kind of pushed John up a little bit, so he got up in the loose stuff. And around he went. You see him on the outside again of Jason Small, and around he went. So I'd say there's probably a good chance that he went to go on the outside of Jason Small, and Jason may not have known he was there and actually went up a little bit too high, trying to give other lead lap trucks on the inside somewhere to go. So got up in the loose stuff, and around he went.
Last week at Milwaukee, actually, John Wood spun the truck and saved it out of the wall. And even though he had to spin, he came back to finish in 12th position. So it wasn't a bad omen for the Eldon folks at Milwaukee 1 week ago. Working caution for the 3rd time today. After 22 of 167 laps, they are chasing Jack Sprague, who's our leader. Back in just a moment. Perfect timing, great flag waves here on lap 25, and Jack Sprague will lead him down. Dennis Setzer in 2nd spot, Ricky Hendrick, the rookie, in 3rd. Musgrave, last week's winner, 4th, and points leader Joe Ruttman in the top 5 in the Dana Dodge.
Lap trouble with Willie T. Ripps. We saw him have trouble with a stuck throttle early on. He lost a lap on that situation. 1 lap down, but he got in between the leader, Jack Sprague, and the 2nd place truck of Dennis Setzer. Matt Crafton, the bright yellow truck back there, got hung behind Willie T. on the outside. Nowhere to go. Losing separate positions.
They're 3 wide with the MB&A machine of Floyd Gibbs on the inside. Now Crafton gets by Willie T as they go underneath the Dodge machine. There's a 20 and 88 side by side.
Looking out of Terry Cook's on board.
First of 6 races. Sponsorship for the fine folks from Power Stroke on board the K Automotive Ford. Coming off a great run last week at Milwaukee, where he qualified 5th and finished 4th. Being shown back in 12th position. They struggled in practice on Thursday and in qualifying on Friday, but were a little bit better in happy hour. And Terry and Bob Keselowski both said they thought they'd be better in the race today.
They're doing a good job. They've had a great year. They've been very competitive week in, week out.
And our last caution flag brought out by a spin by John Wood, who came on and off pit road. Amy, what exactly happened to John?
Well, again, it was just like Phil had said. He just kind of got in that outside groove there, and here at a new track, it's hard to hold on to. He did, during the commercial break, come down pit lane and take 4 new tires. Now, here is a flat spotted tire. We talk a lot about what a flat spot is. Actually, the tire's rubber is completely removed all the way across the width of the tire. This makes it very dangerous for the driver to continue to compete on a tire like that. So he got 4 new Goodyear tires, and he's back out there, young rookie, trying to get a lot of laps and a lot of experience here at Kansas Speedway.
And that is a call that NASCAR makes. Typically, you're only allowed 2 under caution unless they realize they are flat spotted and allow you to put 4, which they did for John Wood.
That's exactly right. NASCAR is right on top of the heavies. They did an inspector at every pit to look at those kind of things. Saw that they were flat spotted, so go ahead and change 4.
There's Dennis Setzer in the Axion Chevrolet in 2nd spot. Then comes the Dodge of Musgrave, last week's winner in his home track in Milwaukee. Then comes Ricky Hendrick, who was very, very good on Thursday, the open practice session. And one truck is slowing. That would be Winston Cup veteran Morgan Shepherd out of Conroe, North Carolina, who was assigned the fans this morning by doing a little roller skating to a rock and roll band down in the fan walk in the garage area. Not having the best day here, rolling back to the garage right now.
Ted Musgrave trying to get the measure of Dennis Setzer. See, Henrik lost a little bit this morning. It looked like he lost the front end a little bit. That's a common problem these guys have, losing the front end of their trucks, especially when they're in dirty air like Ricky is right behind Ted Musgrave.
Now, when you say losing the front end, are you talking about going to the corner and going to turn, or just the whole thing begins to slide?
Well, it does begin to slide because you're in dirty air. You're behind, like right there. Ted Musgrave is right behind Dennis Setzer. Well, he does not have as much air as we talked about earlier on this truck, but he needs to plant the front end. So he go in and actually the front of the truck will actually slide up the racetrack. Sometimes it'll even chatter the tires, and he needs to relies on that air to push the front end down. He doesn't have it because he's behind somebody.
And some of the Dodge drivers, like this guy we're riding with here, Ted Musgrave, says that because of the front air dam is a little higher off the ground, they don't have the downforce they had before. They're talking about chattering in the corners and having that.
Exactly right. Scott Riggs was the one that was telling us this morning that he was really chattering bad. Ted Musgrave did not have it as bad as Scott Riggs, but that's a tough situation right there. And that's something that really came in with a harder tire than Goodyear brings to the racetrack. It's a lot more prevalent now than it used to be.
Told you Ted Musgrave won last week at Milwaukee, and on the airplane back to Charlotte, as he walked on the airplane, which was full of NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series crews and drivers, everyone stood and gave Ted applause because of what he had done. That was a very popular win, but he's very, very well liked in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. He becomes the first four-time winner this season in the competition, two-time pole winner. Average finishes just under 10. And look back at Greg Biffle won 9 races in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series in '99. He had only won 2 at this point in the season. Musgrave has won 4, but Biffle didn't win the championship that year.
That's exactly right. So just winning at the most races does not necessarily correlate to winning the championship. But
probably should have.
It should have, but I'm not going to count Ted Musgrave out of this championship yet.
There's Setzer, Musgrave, and Ricky Hendrick. Second, third, and fourth. Ricky's mom and dad, Linda and Rick Hendrick, on hand to watch him. That would be a very emotional victory lane if the young man can pull off his first win here in major NASCAR racing today at Kansas Speedway.
Good side-by-side racing between Terry Cook on the inside, Matt Crafton on the outside. We saw some free-ride racing while we were getting that report from Amy on the flat-spotted tires of John Wood. And these guys were involved in that. There you see Corey Gibbs on the inside going out of your screen. Scott Riggs on the outside. Corey Gibbs has been awfully impressive the last 3 or 4 races. When they started putting the Martin Conquest Winston Cup engines in the truck, all of a sudden they started running well.
Well, they did a little bit of contact earlier on there just a moment ago, but yeah, you're right. Mark Quanquist's engines, and they build the engines for Bobby Labonte and Tony Stewart. Here's the contact you talked about a moment ago between Crafton and Terry Cook. Just a little bit of a nudge, but that nudge will be enough to make me hiccup at about 170 miles an hour. Is the average speed here, over 160 per lap.
You got to remember, we talked about earlier how hot it is out here. It's probably 125, 130 degrees inside those trucks right now.
And at least 2 drivers went to the infield care center this morning and took IV fluid. Neither one had been
coming up on a lap
well.
on the bottom, the green 73.
Terry Cook, this driver we're riding with right now in the Power Stroke diesel. He was one of the 2 drivers. Been ailing a little bit, went to get some IV fluids. And Carlos Contreras, the driver from Mexico City, Mexico, drives for Richard Petty in the Hot Wheels Dodge, also on for IV fluids. Folks, if you just joined us, the air temperature is about 104 degrees down in the pits. The track temperature over 135 degrees, which makes it about 145 inside these trucks. It's a hot one here at brand new Kansas Speedway. Back with more live action in just a moment. Back at Kansas Speedway, NASCAR Craftsman Truck action, the O'Reilly Auto Parts 250, the inaugural NASCAR event here for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Sprague, Hendrick, Musgrave, Setzer, and Quaffle. There 6 through 10, and Ruppin, Gibbs, Riggs, Crafton, and Crawford. They've been chasing is Jack Sprague, but his teammate Ricky Hendrick started to get a little bit racy. We mentioned on Thursday in the open test session, Ricky Hendrick was among, or what was the fastest truck here, the 21-year-old leading Rookie of the Year contender. And I'm told that the the Hendrick Automotive Group. His dad, Rick Hendrick, owns a bunch of automobile dealerships. One of the largest they own is Superior Chevrolet right here in Kansas City. They've got a huge group here up in the Hospitality Village in Turns 1 and 2 to watch Ricky race. So wouldn't that be special for him to get his first major NASCAR win in front of so many people, including Mom and Dad?
Sure would be. I talked to Lance McGrew, his crew chief, this morning, and he said he's never seen Ricky as excited about this truck.
Watch Ricky Hendrick on the racetrack. Let's get out and talk with another young driver who had troubles here earlier today, right?
And Jerry, that would be Brian Sockwell, who's back out of the garage. It looked like an awfully hard hit. Did that one hurt?
It was going to hurt a lot worse than it did. If I had it safe, went in the corner and the truck got sideways, touched the apron with the nose and spinning, and it sent me straight in the wall. And I hated for the 49 truck because he had nowhere to go. I want to say I hated my baby girl Cassidy at home. She's been feeling bad, but I really hated for these guys also. They messed up a good truck. We had a good run today.
Well, the bad news is Brian's out of the race. The good news is he got a good night's sleep last night, which he hasn't had many with that new baby dog.
He'll be back next week in Kentucky driving for Rick Ware. Hopes to have his own truck back in action later on in the year. Ran at Daytona in Texas. Daytona his own truck in Texas in the Zero for Bonnie Richardson. Brian Sockwell. Well, we've seen this, the act in this play before. The 24 truck, Jack Sprague, dominated today at Memphis 2 weeks ago, leading 90 laps, having an oil line come off late in the race. Ended up not winning. He dominated even more at Milwaukee last Saturday, leading 167 of 200 laps, only to be passed with 30 to go. A track truck getting a little bit tight after a tire change. He did not win. And once again here, he is dominated here, leading 24 laps. He's led the most laps thus far.
Ricky Hendrick right now is running in second position. He's a little bit quicker that lap than Jack Sprague, so he's actually closed down about a second on Jack's lead. Jack had about a 2-second lead when Ricky was able to pass the interception for the second position. And now it's down inside of 1 second, so Ricky Hendrick is on the move.
By the way, a moment ago, you saw that 50 truck of John Wood. He is not on a lap down. He is on the lead lap. But you see the unscheduled pit stop here at lap 45 for the Power Stroke Diesel.
All right, there, you're about 10 minutes away here. We got an opening wall right in front of us. Right in front of us. Right where Brian is.
And he's going behind the wall, right?
Yeah, Jerry, they're going to have to put a new carburetor on the number 29. Terry's been calling in saying the engine's been shutting off and turning back on, shutting off. So they're not sure. They think maybe it could be a clogged fuel filter, but they're definitely going to have another carburetor ready, and he will be behind the wall for a number of laps here while they get ready to fix that problem.
Well, he has run so well all year long, coming off another great finish last week at Milwaukee, and they get the first week for the Power Stroke folks. Terry so excited, said, I want to take the first diesel to victory lane in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series competition. They him behind the wall now in the green flag competition at lap 47.
He's obviously going to be out of contention for this race, but he'll be back strong in Kentucky.
Here's a battle for 7th spot. Scott Riggs, the Ultra Wheels, Jimmy Smith on the machine. Trying to hold off Matt Crafton in the 88, the fast track driveway sealer, Duke Personal Chevrolet. Crafton getting a challenge from Rick Crawford, who saw a 32 race streak of finishing events come to an end last week at Milwaukee when he had engine failure with 28 laps to go. So Crawford said, no problem, I'll just start another streak and maybe starting with a win at a brand new racetrack in Kansas.
We saw Rick get underneath Matt Crafton coming off turn 2. You see Billy Bigley back there in the 75 truck trailing this group right here. He actually got against the wall in practice the other day, and he actually got against the wall at Darlington with the same truck in practice. So he said, I don't know if it's me or if it's a truck, but for what reason he wants to get the wall in practice.
He said, we're going to nickname this truck Wally. We're going to call it Wally. Riding along with the O'Reilly Auto Parts Dodge and Joe Ruttman, our points leader, off the pace rank.
Yeah, Jerry, they have an engine problem in the number 18, and Ruttman has said that it's just missing, and they thought maybe it's an electrical problem, so they switched boxes, and that didn't help it at all. So they have turned off all of their auxiliary power, which is also including the cool box for the driver. Now, Danny, the crew chief said to Joe, hey, are you really hot inside the truck? And he said, listen, at my age, any temperature is a good temperature.
Joe Ruttman is one of the most fun guys to be around. How about a changing of the guard when it came to the point standings? We'll take a look. Ruttman was leading by 6 points coming into this event. And over Scott Riggs, top 5s, top 10s, pretty even there. Laps led. We The advantage goes to Riggs. The average finish very, very close. Ruttman won the season opener. Riggs, by virtue of a top 5 finish in the second race of the year at Homestead, took over the points lead and led all up until last week when he had 3 studs break on the right front. He finished in 24th spot, giving the points lead back to Ruttman coming here at the halfway point of the season.
Billy Bigley battled for 9th right there. We saw him trailing this group. He's all the way up to 9th. Got by Matt Crafton going down through turn 3 and 4. Comes underneath the last
Billy Bigley coming off his best finish of the year, 7th at Milwaukee. Great run for Mark Blessing and the Wayne and Connie Spears Chevrolet. By the way, they've got John Wilson engines on board, the gasoline alley engines, and that's been a big difference for them the last couple of weeks.
Sure has. They've been a lot better the last couple of weeks.
Well, we are closing in on the halfway point here in the inaugural NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series event at Kansas Speedway. Back with more action in a moment. And here on pit road are our lead trucks, the 2 Hendrick machines, Net Zero Chevy for Sprague, the GMAC for Hendrick. Let's go down to Amy East.
Well, it's been spitting and sputtering, that number 24 Net Zero Chevy. So Jack Sprague's coming down pit lane 3 laps earlier than what he had originally anticipated, and will bring teammate Ricky Hendrick along with him just to be on the safe side. He'll get fuel. They will make a track bar adjustment and right side tires. Right on lap.
Well, Amy, on the 17, this will be a 4-tire stop. Lance McGrew, the crew chief, said if we change 4 now, we may not have to change tires again. You can do 4 tires when it's under green. Amy?
Jack Sprague's also going to take on 4 tires and get a nice fast stop. Ricky Hendrick will now follow his teammate Jack Sprague down pit lane. So 4 tires for both the Hendrick trucks.
Pretty good pit stop for these teams that are accustomed to changing only 2. Here comes Ted Musgrave, last week's winner in the Mopar Dodge, down for his pit stop. Ray Dunlap.
Jerry, they are going to make an adjustment here on the number 1. Ted said the truck has been a little bit tight throughout the course of the day, so they're going to make a track bar adjustment. They go 2 rounds, 3 rounds down, and the Musgrave is away.
All right, Phil, 3 rounds of track bar for Musgrave. What are they trying to correct?
They're trying to correct a little tightness in the center of the corner, center and off right now. Ted complained if I'm going to have a problem, it's going to be tight center off, but apparently that's what the problem he had.
51 in the pits, that's Brian Rose, the Sunclear Energy Team Chevrolet. Also coming down, Scott Briggs, Coy Gibbs, and Rick Crawford on pit road at 55 miles an hour. There is the MB&A Chevy for Gibbs. As he comes to a halt, Gary Showalter and crew will change. Looks like right side tires there.
But Jerry, we're also going to have a track bar adjustment on the number 2. Crawford's pretty happy with the 14, so no chassis change. Right side tires on the number 14. It will be a 4-tire stop for the 2 bunch. They get around. It has been good pit stops throughout the course of the year. Crawford will keep just 2. He'll have right side, but the number 2 truck will have 4 tires, so that could be a big advantage later in this race.
Well, indeed it could be, Ray. Here comes the 75 of Billy Bigley, the Spears manufacturing truck, coming off his best finish of the year, 7th. Last week at Milwaukee. Bigley, there's the crew, Mark Blessing and company, going to work changing left side tires. They opt for left side only, because if they're going to change 4, they're going right first.
Yeah, a little bit of surprise.
And how about Joe Ruttman's pit stop, Ray?
Well, Danny Gill, the crew chief, Danny Rollins, the crew chief, does change those right tires, the front tires, and they've decided 4 tires. You couldn't give up that ability to have those fresh tires. There is 1 tire loose on the track, though, that they got to get that back before Joe can go. They get that tire back, and Ruttman will have 4 fresh tires.
All right, the points leader down and away here on lap 60. So we are 60 laps in as leaders' pit stops continue.
Dennis Setzer's coming in the pits now. He was our leader. Dennis is going to come in the pits.
There's the Axiom Chevrolet Setzer, who was our pole sitter. Let's go down to the Axiom pits in Amy East.
Well, at 55 miles per hour, it makes pit lane seem like eternity. But the Axiom crew is ready to give Dennis Setzer 4 tires and fuel. They actually felt as though they had a little bit better fuel mileage than their crew, and that is true from those Hendrick trucks because of the gearing package underneath this Chevrolet. So they're now on the right side, not going to make any chassis adjustments. Dennis is very happy with his Axiom Chevrolet. They'll go for the 2nd can of fuel. A little slow on the right rear, now to the left side. So a decent stop for this crew, but right now they're just looking at getting all 4 on and 2 cans of fuel. Let's see exactly. Still about 24.1 for Dennis Setzer. Not too bad, not the fastest here on pit lane, but a solid pit stop for the crew.
There's the big white truck for Randy Tolsma, the Team Renzi machine. They came in for left side tires. Lance Norris getting advantage. Barry Chevy. What about the 61 pit stop, Ray?
Well, Jerry, actually they did 4 tires on the number 61 and a big wedge adjustment. Now the 60 is coming down pit road right now. This is the truck that probably has made the most improvement throughout the course of the day today. Rick Wren has said, let's do a chassis adjustment. They're going to go down 1 round on the right rear spring there, and this will be 4 tires also. So as Travis Quaffle gets here, they go to the right side. Crew is on that, working on it. Very important to get all the fuel in here. This is critical today because once again, we could have a green flag race today. Little chassis adjustment, as I said. They went down around on the right rear. Left side comes around here a little bit. Just a little bit of a hang up on the left front there. They get the crew ready to go. They're over 20 seconds.
Go, 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 go. Watch your
About
speed.
22.5.
As Ray mentioned, they went down 1 round in the right rear. That means he was a little bit too tight. He wanted to loosen up a little bit.
And Randy Tolsma back in. Ray, tightening lug nuts?
Yeah, on the left rear, Jerry, they must have missed a lug nut there. They only had to replace 1, but that time that he spent coming back down pit road will be very costly.
At 55 miles an hour, Tolsma, who did not qualify that well when the big white truck was running up in the top 12. That truck had come toward the front in a hurry. How about Brendan Gaughan? His 4th start of the year in NASCAR Craftsman Truck Competition, driving for TKO Motorsports, a reigning NASCAR Winston West Series champion, another 3-time winner this year in Winston West competition, including a win at Monroe. How about another Winston West guy on pit road, the 72 truck of Steve Portengay?
This is the 2nd time Steve has driven this truck. He drove it out at Mesa Marin for the McDonald's.
Steve led the Winston West race here last month, had a 2-tire stop and broke the rear end, leaving pit road, ended up finishing 18th in his Roto Rouge Chevrolet. Would love to come with Roto Rouge and run full time. Next year, that is the Randy and Merrill McDonald owned truck that Jimmy Hensley's been driving. By the way, Jimmy will be back in that truck next week in Kentucky, according to Randy McDonald. So Portengay running full time in the Winston West Series, currently 4th in the points, will be pursuing the Winston West pilot, maybe coming full time to NASCAR Craftsman Trucks next year. He ran full time, by the way, back in 1995.
How about the fuel mileage that Brendan Gaughan's getting in that 41 truck? Almost 10 laps farther than Jack Sprague and Ricky Hendrick got in with their Chevrolets.
Riding along with Brendan Gaughan, the TKO Motorsports Dodge. Todd Meyer is the crew chief. Mike Ferris owns that team. Brendan will run, we are told, Chicago and Texas with this team, and maybe go back with his own team, the Orleans team that he's his Chevrolet, and will run Las Vegas, Fontana, and Phoenix. So he may run as many as 9 events this year, and we are told might come full time in 2002. Talk about a rising star in the series. Brendan Gaughan finished 3rd at Mesa Marin, where he led 25 laps. His best finish, you see, Texas this year, where he started back in 30th position, led 9 laps driving this Dodge, and finished in runner-up position.
Great couple top 5s right there out of the 3 races that he's run.
Outstanding.
We're expecting him to come in the pit city minute now, but of course I was expecting him about 10 laps ago, so he's getting some great fuel mileage.
And if we're keeping count at home, the leader, Jack Sprague, pitted on lap 56. They're now showing lap 68. Some of the teams said in the garage this morning that they could go almost 70 laps. I questioned their math, and apparently Brendan Gaughan is going to stay out. So we'll take a quick break and come back and see if the leader indeed will pit, as they are getting ready down in the 41 pits for their pit stop when we come back. Live NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series action. Exclusive coverage right here on the Worldwide Leader ESPN. On Raleigh Auto Parts 250, I'm Jerry Punch, along with Phil Parsons, Amy East, and Ray Dunlap. Glad to have you with us here at a beautiful Kansas Speedway in Kansas City, Kansas. Just moments ago, the 41 truck of Brendan Gaughan came down pit road, Amy, on lap 70 for his pit stop.
Absolutely unbelievable how Todd Myers and this entire TKO team has done their 390 carburetor homework. They got excellent fuel mileage. They took 4 tires, but the problem was it was a 25.4-second pit stop, and that's because they had dropped the catch can, had a little bobble while waiting on that second can of fuel. But you can assure that Todd Myers wanted to make sure they got all that fuel in there, as they know this may be a fuel mileage race.
And in might be. And as you watch some of the crew now discussing, they're looking at tire wear, talking about fuel mileage. And here's our leader. How about this 19-year-old who spun back on lap 22 to bring out the third caution flag today? John Wood, son of Eddie and Carol Wood, the grandson of the patriarch of the Wood brothers family, Glenn Wood, making his third start for Jack Roush Racing in the Eldon Ford. Finished 14th at Memphis, 12th at Milwaukee, and despite spinning early on, being involved in events, now being shown as the leader.
Well, Doc, one of the reasons is he pitted on lap 23 after that spin, got 4 fresh tires, got filled up with fuel, so he can actually go till probably 90 laps or something like that.
And we've got, that could be Brendan Gaughan. It looks like there's a truck. It is Brendan Gaughan, the 41 truck, reigning NASCAR Winston West Series champion. He pulls the gloves off, and that will bring out caution for the 4th time today here on lap 75.
See Brendan taking the wind in that down. He's obviously okay. Pretty disgusted. You can see him shake his head.
Now, he had just pitted 7 laps ago, or back 5 laps ago on lap 70, and very frustrated young man. Pretty good athlete. I mentioned he's a reigning Winston West champion. Played basketball at Georgetown for John Thompson. His roommate for 2 years there, a guy by the name of Allen Iverson. Pretty good talent there to be a part of. So Allen goes on. Allen did pretty well too, I think, in the NBA.
Not too bad. Yeah.
Brendan's doing okay as a NASCAR driver. I'll show you what happened a moment ago to Brendan Gaughan.
On the outside, looked like he got a little bit too wide, got up in the loose stuff, and around the truck went. Sliding across the racetrack, looks like he's going to make contact with the inside wall. Sure, pretty hard contact with the inside wall.
Now, you might want to tighten your seatbelt from the sofa. This is from what Brendan saw.
You could hear it. Brendan got loose, getting in the turn, chased it up the hill, got up in the loose stuff, and then he actually got back in the throttle. As soon as he got back in the throttle, he was up in that loose stuff. The wheels spun, and the thing turned left.
All right, Amy, down in their pits. What did he say on the radios, Amy?
Well, actually, they had given him sticker tires on that 4-tire stop that we saw there on lap 70. And for those of us that had the opportunity of being here on Thursday for the optional test day, we saw Billy Bigley in the 75 truck also have trouble on sticker tires. Terry Cook Friday, he spun on sticker tires. So not the choice tire on this new facility here. So that's what they are crediting the very extremely loose condition that Brendan Gaughan had there that enabled him to crash.
And you know, Amy, Billy Hodges from Goodyear told the teams during their test day on Thursday that you might want to scuff tires. And folks, scuff means you put a lap or two on them and let them heat up and then cool them down to heat cycle them, because scuff tires were considerably faster and more comfortable than stickers here.
Yeah, I talked to Jack Sprague this morning. I said, did you scuff your tires? He said, yeah, we scuffed all our tires. Talked to Ted Musgrave, and he said that we scuffed all but one set of tires. So most of the guys have scuffed most of their tires.
Leader in front of you, Amy East.
They've thrown me off guard here, you guys, not anticipating this stop, but Dennis Conner, doing some fuel calculations, has decided to give Jack Sprague a splash and go. Breakdown lap.
There is the Ted Musgrave truck also on pit road as they underneath the hood on that machine. By the way, Sprague was not the leader. He was the 3rd place truck when he came down pit road a moment ago. My bad. John Wood being shown as the leader. The hood now goes down as Fred Wanke and crew. What are they working on, Ray?
Well, the engine just has a miss, and Ted's been saying that when he comes off of the corner, it just feels like it wants to shut off, similar to what Ruttman was saying earlier. Now, I did hear on the radio just a minute ago that the 18 truck will be coming to pit road. That's Joe Ruttman, and they are going to have to replace the battery. So not sure if it could be a battery on the number 1. I'll check into it, but it is because he's been missing coming off the corner.
Wow, the points could really be shuffled. Here is John Wood, the leader now. Remember, John was involved in the caution flag. He brought out the caution flag on lap 22, and now
all the way to the top, guys.
He comes down pit road for his scheduled stop under the caution flag. Amy?
That's right, Jerry. This is within John Wood's fuel calculations, right around the 55 marker. He'll come down. They were going to give him some right side tires. And actually, just prior to this caution, they had said, stay out there. We can go almost 10 more laps if we need to. We'd like to catch the field on a caution, and they're getting what they want. Right down lap.
Well, I mean, they're going down a bunch on the track bar for the number 2 because they continue to fight a ill handling problem there. Got some fuel in for them, too. So all these guys very conscious about what this could be as far as fuel today. Jack Sprague is back in. Now back to Amy.
Jack Sprague is back. They've actually went inside because they think they had some trouble with an ignition chip. So they gave him a little bit more fuel, and they're trying to help Jack Sprague. Right on lap.
Left side tires for the number 1. They are working on that left rear there, making sure it was plenty tight. Hoping there's no vibration problem. They've got that. Fred says go ahead, back out to the track. And we do see that the 18 of Joe Ruttman has come to the pits now. As the 18 is, they're going to put the battery in and see if that is the problem. Hopefully that will get things working back as they need it to be in the number 18, but they will replace the entire battery. Wonder if they can do this without losing a lap here, guys.
Wow, battery change going on in the Dana Dodge. He's the points leader for Ruttman, a miss for Musgrave, last week's winner. An ignition switch change for the 24 of Sprague. Folks, a lot happening here in the 4th caution flag of the day at Kansas Speedway. We'll come back and sort it all out. More green flag action in just a moment.
Welcome back to Kansas Speedway, where the pit lane action has been fast and furious as young Ricky Hendrick now comes down for some water. He is very hot inside that truck. Actually, he said his rear end is starting to burn. And Phil Parsons, I'm sure you know what it feels like in the cab of that truck and just how hot some of these drivers are.
Well, Amy, you're exactly right. And the thing is, Ricky Hendrick does not want to pour water down his back and let it get in the seat, because all it's going to do then is just turn into steam. So it's a tough situation. There's not a whole lot you can do about it.
And you end up boiling yourself with water. And Joe Ruttman sitting in the pits in front of you, Ray.
Jerry, they decided they might as well put left side tires on here. They do have that battery changed out, and they're going to see if it's a little bit better. Just a little bit of curiosity here, Phil. Do you think the heat is affecting the carburetors on these trucks? Because we've heard a lot of people down here on pit road talking about them missing. They've tried electrical things, and that doesn't seem to work. I'm wondering if it's the heat.
But Ray, I was thinking the same thing. Sometimes when you have a situation there's so much temperature that maybe the things will vapor lock. So I wonder if maybe that's something that maybe happened, is the trucks maybe actually vapor lock because of this ungodly heat.
And once again, it is 104 degrees air temperature. That's the ambient temperature. 134 now on pit road and over 140 on the racetrack. It's got to be well over 150 inside these trucks as we get set for a restart here just past the lap 80 mark.
We call that cruel and unusual punishment. It's how it is in those trucks, Jerry.
And look at the crowd. They don't mind one bit. They have waited long and hard for NASCAR to come to the Midwest here, and lap 82 in the books after caution number 4 out for 5 laps.
So you've got a bunch of trucks right now, Doc, led by Travis Quampa in the 60 that are on the tail end of the lead lap. Our actual leader is Jack Sprague. He's about 6 or 7 trucks back. So right now, these guys desperately need a caution flag really quick before the caution flag comes out, so they can come all the way back around the racetrack. There's actually John Wood in the 50 truck. He's our leader. There's Jack Sprague. He's actually in 2nd position.
And the 86 truck spins around, brings out the caution. That's Randy Briggs out of Kansas City, Kansas. David Hudson on lifter 1 forward.
These guys are going to get their wish. There's about 4 trucks right now that on the tail end of the lead lap that are going to race John Wood back around it. If they beat him back to the start-finish line, they will be back on the lead lap.
Watch the 86 truck spin back around, trying to get going. Bringing out caution number 5 on the day. And there is John Wood, the leader, and some of these guys will beat him back. They will beat him back to the start finish line and get their laps back.
All 4 of those trucks in front of, plus the 72 of Steve Portgate will actually get a lap back. Steve was 2 laps down. He will get one of those laps back and be 1 lap down. But you see Matt Crafton there in the 88, Billy Bigley in the 75, Travis Quampo in the 60, and Dennis Setzer in the 46. And now we'll get back in the lead lap, and that'll bring us back up to 8 trucks on the lead lap.
What happened a moment ago to Randy Briggs in the ProMotion Motorsports machine, the Lifter 1 Automotive Cleaners Ford. He brings out caution number 5.
Same situation. He was up a little bit high on the high side, tried to correct it, almost had it, tried to turn away from Willie T. Ribs, and the thing turned around and made a little bit of contact with the outside wall.
You know, Randy, as you watch his spin again, Randy ran short tracks here in the Midwest and then went to work for Jack Roush driving a show car. You know what made him want to get back into racing? He drove the show cars in a bunch of Roush commercials for Hardee's and Citgo and Exide. He said, I want to go back and race.
How about that? Looking for Terry Cook's on board. See him on the outside there as Terry drives by.
Right now, it's a 2-groove racetrack right now, Doc, but you don't want to be above the 2nd groove because that's where all the dirt and the asphalt or rubber collects, and it's awfully slick up there, as we've seen 3 or 4 times this race.
And a little bit of front end damage on the Lifter 1 Automotive Cleaners machine for Randy Briggs. Hoping to run more here in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. We may have a fender rubbing on that left front. We got a little smoke off that left front tire, so I imagine that Cal Lawson, who's acting as the crew chief here, will call him on the pit road. Well, we'll have all the action and all the recaps from motorsports around the world from RPM today. That is tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Whit Watson will be there. I'll be joining Whit. We'll wrap it up with RPM tonight at 10 Eastern Time. That's tomorrow night. Back in a moment.
Welcome back to Kansas Speedway. Again, more pit stops taking place here as Dennis Setzer, our pole leader, just came down for right side tires. We also saw John Woods come down for less, and we're seeing the 75, the 18, and a lot of people taking advantage of this caution.
Indeed, Amy. John Wood, the leader, was on pit road. The attention of the Roush team. Also, Travis Quappa was in front of you, Ray.
Well, Jerry, he's one of those trucks that was a lap down, so they just got that lap back on that last caution. So this crew very, very happy. They decided to pit here. They put fuel in it. They were going to try to loosen the truck up a little bit, but Rick Wren said, "Low, let's not make any chassis adjustments because a full fuel load will loosen it up a little bit." Travis said he's pretty happy. They cleaned off the windshield, cleaned the grill, and he's back to the track. They probably have a possible winning truck today. I'll tell you, this is one of the crews that I think made the most adjustments throughout the weekend from that open test day till today, and I think they've got a pretty good truck. Now that they're back on the lead lap, I'd watch that 60.
I agree, Ray. Mike Addington's been here all weekend. Rick Wren and the crew working very, very hard, coming off a third place finish at Milwaukee. This truck hasn't raced all year. In fact, the last time this truck raced, it won on a road course at Portland with Andy Houston aboard last year. So they totally revamped it, so watch out. We figured it wouldn't be long before we'd see one of these rookie drivers in victory lane. There's Mike Addington watching his team. And Randy Tolzman back on pit road, Ray.
Well, they came in, Jerry, to pull out that left front fender. Randy had made a little bit of contact racing back for that caution there, and he was worried that it was going to be rubbing on that left front tire, so he called in and said, "We better pull it out." They came to the pit stop. No tires, no fuel. They just pulled on the fender.
Randy being shown 2 laps down in 15th position. He is the first truck 2 laps down. Right now we're showing 8 trucks that are on the lead lap, and then 9th through 14th are showing 1 lap down. How do they come in and how do they leave pit road? You see John Wood came in first and out fourth. Jack Sprague, another great pit stop by Dennis Conner and company, second to first. Musgrave gained a spot. Ricky Hendrick gained a spot as well. And Travis Quapple, it was a push, as you call it. They say it in gambling terms. And all you blackjack players came in 5th and out 5th for Travis Quapple and the Cat Reynolds Chevy.
Another good example of Jack Sprague's pit crew here. We've seen them. They've had some trouble this year, but when they've been on, they've really been on.
Absolutely. Once again, we're working the 5th caution flag today, coming out on lap 82, a spin by Randy Briggs. Randy's none the worse for wear and has gotten his truck sorted out, so we'll get ready for the restart here as Dion Henske will hold a green hanky in hand.
There's Nathan Hoslide, the 99 truck. He's the first truck 1 lap down. He's actually in the 9th position. He desperately needs to try to get ahead of Jack Sprague and get back on the lead lap.
Some great calls by the 4 trucks we talked about, Doc, that got their lap back. Some great calls. They just pitted under green just a few laps before that. Their crew chief said, "Stay out." That's why they were able to restart in front of the leader. So the quick caution enabled them to stay out in front of the leader, John Wood, and get their lap back. And now they're back to win.
Absolutely. We are 4 laps past the halfway point now. It's 167 lapper. Halfway was 84, so we've now gotten past the halfway, and there are the trucks up front. Sprague run along with the 1 4 wide a moment ago. Carlos Contreras said, "No, I've seen this act before. I'm going to back out." Whoa, 3 wide. And some contact between Waffle in the 60. What looked like Matt Crafton in the 88.
That was a situation. They got up high down in the turn number 4. Look at Matt Crafton go high. Take it easy, Matt. Don't jump back in that throttle.
There's Terry Cook riding along with the Power Stroke Diesel folks, racing all over the racetrack for much of the weekend. Phil, it was a 1.5 crew racetrack. The happy hour looked to be somewhat of a 2-crew track, and now they're trying to make it 3 and 4 wide. There's a damage on the left side of Travis Quapple's truck. We'll show you again what happened a moment ago.
See Travis Quapple driving down on the outside there. You see Ricky Hendrick slide up a little bit, and there's Carlos Contreras already upside. They made a little contact between Travis Quapple. Now we get down toward the start-finish line here. That's actually a turn. Looks like Travis Quapple did not know that he was on the outside of the 3 wide situation, and he came down and ran into Matt Crafton.
So Quapple got it on the right and left side, all in one in the span of one set of turns. Here is Matt Crafton on pit road in the fast track driveway sealer machine, right?
But Jerry, you just came on the radio and felt a bad vibration, said they must have a
43 in first.
right front tire, so they bring the number 88 to the pit road. They put right sides on it for Matt Crafton.
Yeah, Ray, a lot of times we saw the contact between Travis Quapple and Matt Crafton. It was on Matt Crafton's right side. A lot of times that'll tear the valve stem out of the tire. Then the tire will slowly deflate, and I'm pretty sure that's what happened to Matt Crafton.
Matt having 7 top 10 finishes in the last 8 starts, including a 9th last week at Milwaukee. Once again, here are the 2 trucks that decided it last week at Milwaukee, with Jack Sprague leading the bulk of that race, only to have Ted Musgrave in the Mopar Dodge passing with 30 laps to go to take the victory in his home state. They are being shown 1-2, looking back from the Net Zero Chevrolet for Sprague. A 4-time winner this year. He won at Homestead, Mesa Marin, Gateway in Milwaukee last week. Sprague's lone win came in Texas.
375.
Fred Wanke telling Ted his lap time was 33.75. He said 375, but they were short for 33.75, which is a pretty good lap time.
Okay, 10-4, I'll make an adjustment.
Ted's asking for an adjustment. Fred said, okay, I'll make it. Pit stop. About 74 laps left in this race, so we know that everyone has to make another pit stop.
Most anyone win, I think, was 70 laps. That was Brendan Gaughan, and he is gone from the race right now. That is spinning off of turn 2, having some pretty hard contact with the inside wall. And we told you Travis Quapple got hit on the inside and the outside. He apparently is having some tire rubbing. You see that the truck, when it goes into the corner and I guess unloads a little bit or loads down, we'll watch for smoke off the left front.
Yeah, as you go down to the corner, the front of the truck comes down. You touch the brake maybe a little bit, the front of the truck comes down. So that's as low as it's going to be, and that's when we see the tire rub.
Riding along the O'Reilly Auto Parts onboard camera for Joe Ruttman, looking at Travis Quapple. You see that smoke from Ruttman's point of view right in front of them.
NASCAR is going to look at this really close, so they're going to monitor our broadcast, and they feel like that's a dangerous situation, then they can probably will black flag Travis Quapple to make him come in the pits and take that left front tire off and beat the fender out.
Well, I'm here with Fred Wanke. Fred, we saw you guys go under the hood. We thought valve strength, now maybe vapor lock. Is that what we're thinking happened to you guys? And exactly what would make that happen?
You know, I really don't know what happened. It just wouldn't turn any RPM. I don't know whether it's vapor locking, whether the heat's doing something to it. Now it's running fine again. We're just a little tight. We didn't try to do any chassis adjustments the last time because we were just running wide open. The motor just, was down about 600-700 RPM. Now it's running good again. So, hey, we'll just ride it as long as we can.
One of those racing mysteries that we see so often down here on pit lane, but kudos to Fred Wanke for giving his driver an opportunity to be in contention to get another NASCAR truck win.
Well, don't you love the honesty? Mr. Wizard Fred Wanke, we don't know what happened, but it's running good now.
And that's all that matters right now.
I love Fred Wanke. Talking to Amy East down there, and it is running awfully well because he is 13/100ths of a second, folks. That's about a half a truck length behind the Net Zero Chevrolet. We are showing 7 trucks right now on the lead lap, with Sprague the leader, then Musgrave, then Ricky Hendrick, then John Wood, the 19-year-old. What a day he's having. For Jack Roush racing in the Eldon Ford, folks, and Dennis Setzer, the pole sitter. Billy Bigley is 6th, and Travis Quapple limping along with that left front tire running a little bit off and on in the Cat Reynolds Chevrolet. He is the last truck on the lead lap in 7th position. As we approach the 100 mark, they are chasing the man they call Big Track Jack. Kansas Speedway NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, acting exclusively here on ESPN, the worldwide leader. Glad to have you with us. I'm Jerry Punch, along with Phil Parsons, Ray Dunlap, and Amy East, as we watch the Hendrick Motorsports Net Zero Chevrolet for Jack Sprague. Pull away now by 4/10 of a second over Ted Musgrave. And a moment ago, during the commercial break, we were eavesdropping on Musgrave's radio, and Fred Wanke said,
it sounds like he said maybe it's vapor locking. He didn't know exactly what was wrong. As he said during our interview, he said he wasn't sure exactly what was wrong, but during the break he said he thought it might be vapor locking. Billy Bigley on the inside of Nathan Hoslau right there. Billy's up in the 6th position. Nathan 11th, 1 lap down.
And this could be the best finish for 2 weeks in a row for Billy Bigley and that Spears manufacturing team. Mark Blessing and company, 89 Spears. He finished 7th. Last week in Milwaukee, he had finished 9th earlier in the year at Mesa Marina at Arlington, and now being shown in 6th position. He is the reigning Gatorade All-Pro Series champion from NASCAR's Gatorade All-Pro Series from a year ago. And let's check in his pits with Ray Dunlap.
Well, Jerry, whenever we saw that 75 truck roll in this weekend, I said, hey, did you guys bring Earl again? They said, no, this is the truck we ran at Darlington. But we slammed it in the wall there, but after that, it ran pretty good. So Billy slammed it in the wall again on testing day, and it's running pretty good. Now, we do expect the number 60 to come down pit road this time. Rick Wren has just told Travis they can make it the distance on fuel after this. So they're going to go for a green flag stop here and not take any chances on that left front tire. So I expect them to come to pit road. Travis is on pit road, but it looks like he may just about lost it there at the end of the pit road. So they are concerned about that left front tire, and they're going to put 4 tires on it this time and get it full of fuel. You hear Rick Wren there. Now they got the ball bat out here ready to see if they need it to try to make sure that fender's pulled off real good. They go to the right side first, and their big problem is going to be making sure that left front fender is pulled out good. They've done that, and it looks pretty good. Done with the right sides, around to the left here. 4 tires under green. This will be their final pit stop, especially if this race stays green here. They give just a little bit of a hold up on the left front there. Fuel is going in it. Tires are pulled out.
Good. No
21-9. Not a bad stop.
Not a bad stop at all. We saw Jody Skeen there getting that left front lug nuts on, and a good run, good stop for the Cat Criminal team, Rick Wren and company. So they should be able to make it. When we talk about the window being open for fuel, what we're talking about basically, Phil, is the fact that from here on out, they can make it.
That's exactly right. And that pit stop right there will not hurt that Cat Rental team if it goes green the rest of the way, because everyone else is going to have to make a green flag pit stop. But right now, the worst thing that could possibly happen for Travis Kvapil is if the caution would come out before all these guys had to pit. That would put Travis at least 1 lap down and pretty much out of contention.
There's the 17 truck of Ricky Hendrick. Behind him is John Wood. Talking about the future of NASCAR. A couple of rookie drivers. Ricky the rookie Hendrick on the bottom.
3 wide. You're clear low.
Get back to the bottom.
A 21-year-old son of Rick Hendrick and a 19-year-old son of Eddie Wood. Two pretty good names in the history of motorsports as far as the Western Cup is concerned. Now making a name for themselves here at NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series action. Two impressive young drivers. Let's go down to Ray and check into the pits with Brendan Gaughan.
Well, Brendan, you made it a long time on fuel mileage, then came in and pit, and then crashed. What happened?
I feel like a jerk. Another Dodge truck to be reckoned with today. It was great. On long runs, we were awesome. We started a little free, and we came in filled up. It was just a tick free on the loose side. I feel awful for Target Construction Saws and Blades. They're a local crew here. They came out to support us and sponsor us. My daddy Orleans TKO, but just the driver made a mistake. My own fault. Nobody's but mine. I was all alone. Nothing makes you look dumber than when you do it with nobody around you.
I know you've been working hard on that Winston West Championship. Made a lot of progress there.
Oh yeah, the Napa getting punch out in Vegas. We're looking good. We're catching up. I guess I have to get out of my system. Here's the place to do it. But man, we had a truck that I think could win again today. The Dodges are fast, and man, I was having a good time. Just dumb driver move. I better learn from her. I ain't gonna go nowhere.
Okay, that's Brendan Gaughan out of the race today.
All right, battle for 7th place on your screen. Gibbs and Riggs. Gibbs is the MB&A Chevrolet. Three-time Super Bowl winner Joe Gibbs driving his Chevy and riding along with the former point leader currently 2nd in points. That is Scott Riggs in the Jimmy Smith Ultra Motorsports Team ASE CarQuest Dodge.
It's great to see the honesty in these guys. Like Brendan Gaughan said, hey, driver error, I just screwed up. So it's great to see. Great to see these guys. You know, they try their hearts out, but they make a mistake and tell you about it.
Yeah, try finding that in some other professional sports. That's why we love NASCAR racing so much, and why the fans come here. Despite the weather, the heat here, and the weather in Daytona tonight, it's the 150. They're going to be jammed in there watching their favorite NASCAR drivers. Wagner Race Recap shows you the leader is Jack Sprague. Has led 61 of 110 laps. There have been 9 lead changes, 5 cautions for a total of 22 laps. Average speed 113.862 miles per hour. Lap leaders, there they are. Sprague, Setzer, who's the pole sitter. John Wood, who led 13 laps. Brendan Gaughan, you just heard from a moment ago. ago, and Travis Quapple. Along with Ricky Hendrick, who led 2 laps, and Ted Musgrave in the dot. Out of the race, and the Gaughan Chris Horn, who led 3 laps last week at Milwaukee. Jason Small, Rick Beebe, ASA driver, Phil Bonneville, Morgan Shepard, Trent Owens, and Richard Petty, Ricky Sanders, good to have Ricky back, and Jason White. Those are the trucks that are behind the wall and out here at Kansas Speedway. And the 60 of Travis Quapple getting ready to go 2 laps down. He lost a lap during that pit stop a moment ago, and now trying to hang on to the lead lap. And it's very important for him to stay in front of this truck of Jack Sprague. Of course, if Sprague makes his pit stop, then Travis will be able to hang on the lead lap. As Sprague leads it, the Net Zero crew watches and waits for their final pit stop. We'll see it when we come back to Kansas in a moment. Back at Kansas Speedway.
Still there, you're clear high, clear high.
Watching side-by-side action a moment ago, 19-year-old John Wood makes a move inside of Ted Musgrave and will take the 3rd spot away. I bet you Dad Eddie's jumping up and down in Daytona, watching from the hollow down there when they're getting ready to run the big one in Winston Cup tonight. This young man is a talent. Now, what's going on with Ted Musgrave? Let's check in his pitch with Amy.
Well, we just touched base with Fred Wayne again. Not quite sure what it is. It's intermittent. It's hit or miss. The engine just seems to be missing every now and then. Still thinking it may be vapor lock. Not sure, and just telling Ted right now to hang in there and do the best he can.
Try to listen to the engine there to see if we can detect it. Naturally, probably when we're listening in, it's going to run fine.
Like in the TV, when you call the TV repairman, when he walks in the door, the TV's fine. He leaves, and it's all bars and flipping and all that kind of stuff. I bet that would be cool.
Cannot say enough about the job John Wood has done in this race. We know I talked to Max Jones yesterday. He's definitely going to run next weekend in Kentucky. So if he keeps running like this, I think we'll see John Wood in this truck a lot this week.
And the plan was for him to come full-time next year, but this is his 3rd race of the year. And you see, this is his 4th start, I should say. 3rd with Jack Roush Racing. He ran 1 at Martinsville with Billy Ballou. They had rear end problems with that truck, unfortunately, after coming all the way to 6th spot at Martinsville. His best finish last week at Milwaukee, 12th. Finished 2nd in the Winston West race and set on the pole here back in June. And finished 2nd in that event, so certainly an impressive young man. He finished 2nd to Frank Kimmel, the ARCA REMAX Series champion. Here is the Dana Dodge of Joe Ruttman on pit road. Ray again under the hood.
Yeah, Jerry, it's the battery problem again. So what they've decided to do here is to switch out the alternator. That's usually the next big problem. So they're going to put a different alternator on it because they're losing battery power once again. So once again, they're going to lose a couple more laps here working in the pits.
And Ray, because of this pit stop and being in the pits, that the points were distributed right now, he would actually be back in 3rd spot. He came in as the points leader, but he'd be behind Riggs and Sprague in 3rd spot. We're talking about Joe Ruttman.
I'll tell you, changing an alternator is going to take an awfully long time. If the battery is good for 34 laps, I think they probably would have been better off to go ahead and change the battery again. Even though they know it's going to go dead, but change the battery again because they can do that in a matter of 1 or 2 laps. An alternator, it may take as many as 10 laps.
And you only got 45 laps to go, so maybe if you can squeak by, maybe you can save some extra time. But tough day for the Dana Dodge of Joe Ruttman here, coming in as the point leader, and now will be shown at least in 3rd spot, and maybe even fall back more.
You know, these guys can go very close to the end of the race. We know they're all going to have to pit again, obviously, other than Travis Quapple. But I wonder now the strategy, are they going to change any tires, or are they just going to get a little about 3 or 4 gallons of fuel? That's going to be very interesting when we get towards the end of this race.
Remember, some of these guys, including the leader, made 4 tire stops at their original pit stop and under the green flag. You see, we'll give you some speeds at the line, or the intervals at the line. You see there is Sprague, the leader. Ricky Hendrick back in 2nd spot. His teammates a little less than 5 seconds back. Here comes the 50 of John Wood. The 1 of Musgrave sets her the pole center. And the 75, the last truck on the lead lap, and Billy Bigley having his best run of the year.
Only 6 trucks right now on the lead lap. Really by virtue of that
caution flag that came out while John Wood had not made his green flag pit stop yet. So that's what shuffled his field. And now there's only 6 trucks in the lap.
Jack Sprague told me in the garage area on Thursday, this track reminds him a lot of a small Fontana, a small California. This is a 1.5 miles. California is a 2 mile. So the transition into the corners here is so easy. It's such a sweeping racetrack. He said you don't even feel like you're entering the corner, but you just have to get in and just take your time and be very, very calm and smooth. And of course, you drove the truck. How did it feel to you?
It felt really great. Again, it reminded me more of Las Vegas, how the track is really wide. The entrances, again, as Jack mentioned, the transitions are very smooth into and out of the corner. So it's a fun racetrack to drive. We talked about at Pikes Peak, how it's a fun racetrack to drive. To me, this racetrack is the same way.
Well, they took a little bit of 2 group side-by-side action from Pikes Peak. They took the draft from California. They took some of the best of a bunch of racetracks. And boy, what a job they did here. Our hats off to Grant Lynch and all the folks at ISC building an outstanding facility here at Kansas Speedway. For all the latest news and notes in the world of motorsports and for all the latest from the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, visit rpm.espn.com. Keyword NASCAR Trucks. That's rpm.espn.com and log on to NASCAR Trucks. Back with the finish here at Kansas in just a moment. Welcome back to Kansas Speedway, lap 129. The leader on for his final pit stop, coming down 55 miles an hour. Right to you, Amy.
Well, Jack Sprague was actually going to wait a couple more laps, but the fuel pressure gauge is indeed reading 0. Remember, Jack had some spittering or some fuel issues earlier, and he's now going to take 4 tires. We're going to give him rights and lefts. Remember, in the Truck Series, they can do that on a green flag stop, and also 2 cans of fuel. As now Randy goes in for the 2nd can of fuel. An awesome stop so far, as he's now stalled it. Now, this happens when there's no fuel pressure, but he did get it refired. They didn't have to use the ether, and Jack Sprague is out.
Great pit stop for Dennis Conner and Luke Corey Quick. The front tire changer zipping around, getting that left front tire. Great stop for the Net Zero team, under 20 seconds. And now he has 4 fresh Goodyear Eagles. What about the other trucks? So how long did you wait? Can you afford to wait much longer for Ricky Hendrick or for John Wood?
Well, that was only 45 laps for Jack Sprague. That's really surprising. He may have similar problems to what Ted Musgrave's having as far as the vapor lock and things like that, because we knew he went farther than that the first time around. That was only 45 laps this time, but I think it depends on if the lap times aren't that much better with new tires, and the guys can stand to wait a little while.
What about it, Amy? Were they having some problems?
Well, you guys are right. I started doing the calculations, and I thought this is a little bit earlier than what we thought. So they may have dropped a cylinder. Well, that's what the 1 team thought also, and it was the vapor lock, or actually, the 1 is still guessing too. So the 24, not sure, but indeed something is wrong. They think maybe a dropped cylinder, maybe vapor lock, but this heat is really affecting these engines so far here today.
Now, Amy, back on lap 78, when Sprague pitted under the 4th caution flag today, they actually came down pit road and changed the ignition boxes. He was having a little bit of sputtering back then, but the truck has been running pretty well. Here's a battle now heating up for 2nd position. There is the 50 and the 1. That is John Wood, Eldon Ford, Robin for Jack Roush, Max Jones, the team manager, and Ted Musgrave in hot pursuit.
Still got a shot.
And a half back.
John Wood, after that earlier spin, has not had any problems whatsoever, doing a great job running ahead of Ted Musgrave. So that's a feather in his cap. Anytime you can run ahead of that 1 Mopar Dodge, you've done your day's work.
Big picture, Teddy. Looking good, buddy. Get some cool down fuel in that piece. We still got a shot at him.
Your Eddie Thrash, Ted Musgrave's spotter, saying, remember the big picture. Now they're going for this win. Don't need to do anything unusual right now. We're going to get some fuel in here in a few more laps and see if we can go to the front, especially if Jack Sprague's having some problems. Then it may come down to a race between Ricky Hendrick, John Wood, Ted Musgrave.
Boy, wouldn't that be something for the future of NASCAR racing and NASCAR's Craftsman Truck Series? You got a 21-year-old battling a 19-year-old, and how about the veteran back there, Ted Musgrave, at 45 years of age? He's all in the fray, the top 3 trucks. 30 laps to go. Next time by here in the inaugural running of the O'Reilly Auto Parts 250 at Kansas Speedway. Gorgeous facility here in Wyandotte County, Kansas. And the 24 truck looks like he was slowing down a little bit on the bottom of the racetrack.
see Ricky Hendrick, our leader, is now coming down pit road.
There is the 17 of Ricky Hendrick, now the leader on pit road at 55 miles an hour. Lance Brewing Company waiting for him in front of you, Ray.
Well, Jerry, they've decided they don't need very much fuel here, so they do want to do a right side tire change, though. Ricky Hendrick in his 18th start in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. This truck is called T-Rex 4. They've run it a couple of times this year with a couple of top 10s, but they know that this is their race to win today. Right sides are done, fuel is in, and the 17 is away. Amy has the 50.
Well, 19-year-old John Wood is going to get 4 sticker tires, you guys. Now, they were all a little bit concerned about this because they know the track record here with sticker tires is going to make it loose for this young rookie. But he has a nice stop. They're getting fuel. 18.69 for the 50. Awesome pit stop for this Roush crew.
Reminiscent of the Wood brothers of old. Roush crew getting it done in a tough break for the 3rd week in a row. After dominating the lap sled, here's Jack Sprague, who has led 80 laps, smoke billowing the left side of his truck, and it's been sputtering and missing. And now, Amy, he slowly heads back toward the pits. What's the problem?
Well, they seem to be a little bit baffled, but you're right, Jerry. It's been a long day for this crew because it's tough on the emotions of the crew when you're running so well and then you have trouble that sets you back, and that seems to be the story so far for the Net Zero team. So they're anticipating now that they're going to bring Jack down pit lane. Actually, it looks like now they're going to be telling him to go behind the wall, so a tough break for Jack Sprague.
Unbelievable. 2 weeks ago, he led 90 laps at Memphis, only to have an oil line rupture, and he bounced it off the concrete. Last week, he led 167 laps at Milwaukee. Came in, right side tires. The truck was too tight, then it was loose coming off. He got past with 30 to go to give away the win. And now, after leading 80 laps, the 2-time NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series champion will head back behind the wall, as will the Net Zero crew, see if they can figure out exactly what the problem is.
Unfortunately, sure looks like it might be a terminal situation.
There is smoke billowing on the left side. Let's show you again. He just made a pit stop. Now watch the left side of the truck. So you see a puff of smoke come out as it had been sputtering a little bit. Yeah, there's some smoke now billowing out of the left side exhaust.
Probably started in the top end. Probably may have broken a valve spring, and then maybe the valve dropped, and that's why we see the smoke out of the tailpipes.
Well, there's the guy they're waiting on right now, Ted Musgrave, and the Mopar Dog. Let's check in his pits with Ray Dunlap.
Well, Jerry, they were about to stay out for a couple more laps because Ted said he was worried about a caution because there's a big piece of ductwork laying out on the backstretch, but the engine just sputtered one more time, so Fred said, let's get it in. Fred Wanke, the crew chief, that is. So the one truck will come down pit road this time, and they are going to try to get him back out in quick service here. He was the leader. He'll lose the lead by coming to the pits, but with Ricky Hendrick getting that service, they couldn't go too many laps and let Ricky be out there. So Ted is coming in this time. The one truck is almost there. They count him down. 5, 4, 3, position. 2. Into the pits, and they go to the right side now. Pretty smooth stop so far. Sean Phillips throws that tire across the back. And right sides only. 9.9 for the number 1 as they decide to do right side tires only. They got a full fuel.
And here comes Dennis Setzer, who was our leader and our pole sitter. Setzer had led 25 laps, 3 different times for a total of 25 laps, and he heads down to you, Ray.
They got the signboard out for him, Jerry. They keep the truck at pit road speed here. Dennis Setzer comes in. He has the first pit at the end of pit road. It will be right side tires for the Computer Associates number 46. And that looks like it's pretty smooth. They roll the backside tire across there. And I think they got to go with right side. They do decide to do just that. 2 tires for Dennis Setzer.
All right, just under 25 laps, making 24 laps to go here at Kansas Speedway. Here comes Billy Bigley down pit road in the Spears Manufacturing Chevrolet, as Mark Lessing and company will make their final stop. Bigley having his best run of the year. Let's take a look. Looks like fuel only and a chassis adjustment, Phil.
We talked about earlier, would some of these guys gamble without tires? Just put a little bit of fuel and a little quick pit stop, a little 4 or 5 second pit stop, and away he goes.
Well, Bigley moves away, and there is Ricky Hendrick, one of the guys they're going to be chasing. The youngster rookie leading the way. His teammate, the 2-time champion, heads back to the truck. Tough day for Jack Sprague.
gets about 4 seconds worth of gas. And we have a spin out on the track, and I'm not sure if that'll bring out a yellow. Looks like it's Willie T. Ribbs in the number 8 Dodge.
No caution flag thus far, Ray. They're just showing the move over flag. Ribbs able to save it.
All we got is left front. All we got left. Get back up there and fill it out, Willie. Take you a couple of laps, see what you got. You're okay.
You're 18 laps away from the checkered flag here at Kansas Speedway. You heard you say all we got left is the left front, so we really can't do much for tires. They only get 4 sets here to keep the cost down in NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. And not a good day at all for Bobby Hamilton Racing as we check in their pits now with Amy.
Well, Joe Ruttman's been behind the wall here, and we were going to jump in there and chat with Joe, but they're actually right behind pit lane. They're now going to move him back into the garage area. And I did get a chance to talk to Joe, although we won't hear it directly from him, that their alternator had burned out and actually shut off everything in the truck, and that just kind of started a chain of problems for the 8-team Dana Dodge. So a tough day for Bobby Hamilton Racing. And quickly, I wanted everybody to know we tried to get Jack Sprague and get a quick word with him, but he was very frustrated. As we've said, it's tough emotionally for some of these drivers when you run so well and then you have trouble like this. Just 56 points out of the lead when he started this race.
And Amy, for the 3rd week in a row, Jack Sprague has been bitten by the gremlins, and so that's really got to be hotter than the collar. It's not only 105 degrees in the garage, it's probably about 155 in that uniform of Jack Sprague's right now. And you can't blame him. He has driven his heart out for 3 consecutive weeks.
Well, without a doubt, you know, this was the 3rd week in a row that Jack was the fastest truck in happy hour. And would you believe the fastest truck in happy hour has not won a race this season?
All year long through 11 races. Now, how about a driver who is 21 years of age? He had been the youngest driver in NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series competition until John Wood came on at the age of 19. We're talking about Ricky Hendrick. At the line, we'll show you the intervals. There's Hendrick's GMAC Chevrolet going by, and the Musgrave truck, Mopar Dodge, is a little over 5 seconds back. Then comes Setzer, just under 10 seconds behind in 3rd spot.
All these guys right here, Doc, changed 2 tires, except for John Wood. Remember, he was racing actually ahead of Ted Musgrave, and he came in now. He changed 4 tires, so now he's over 9 seconds behind Ted Musgrave. That's the difference between changing 2 tires and 4 tires towards the end of the race when the tires don't pick you speed of them.
So maybe had Wood changed 2 instead of 4 and not lost the extra 7 or 8 seconds, that would put him, if he had the second, it would be about a second and a half behind the 17 right now with a little over 10 laps to go. Ricky Hendrick not only leading the race, but he's leading the bestest Rookie of the Year standings coming in here. He got an 8-point lead over Travis Quapple. Both these drivers pretty close. Both have been the top finishing rookie 5 times this year. Look at their points finish, 5th and 6th. Points position 5th and 6th coming in here. The average finish, neither one of them had won, and it was a toss-up as to which one of these drivers would get the win first. As Quapples have 2 runner-up finishes this year, and Ricky Hendrick began the year with a runner-up finish at Daytona. But Ricky Hendrick was leading at Daytona in an ARCA race early in the year. They had a restart. He spun the tires and didn't win it. I'm sure he remembers that now. He'll be very careful these final laps. Back with the finish in a moment. Well, with less than 10 laps to go at Kansas Speedway, 21-year-old Ricky Hendrick is leading the GMAC Chevrolet. But his teammate, the 2-time national champion Jack Sprague, has not been as lucky. He's now back in the garage area. Let's talk with him.
Well, I told you guys I tried to get Jack Sprague, and Jack, we're happy that you've come out and talked to us. Obviously a very emotionally frustrating day for you.
Blew up. Same old stuff. I don't know. The guys did a great job. I mean, Dennis has given me such great trucks. I mean, the Net Zero Platinum Shuttle has been fast, and I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to say.
You know, I feel for Jack Sprague because last year he had a very frustrating year, and it seems as though things can't always go your way in this racing game. And we thought last year was Jack Sprague's bad luck year. It seems as though he has won once this year. It's carrying over slightly to this 2001 season.
And you talk about missed opportunities. He came into this day 53 laps behind the second place, 59 out of the points lead. And if that thing had just finished today, he possibly could have gone out of here as the points leader.
That's exactly right. A tough break for Jack Sprague. But, you know, he's been good all year long, and he's just having tough break after tough break.
A couple of weeks ago, we told you about the great relationship on the week after Father's Day between father and son, Rick Hendrick and Ricky Hendrick. Let's talk to Dad now in the pits. Ray Dunlap?
Hey, You're nervous, are you?
Just a little bit. Yeah, I hope we can get this one for Ricky and Pop. I am a little nervous.
Going to Daytona tonight?
Depends on what time we get out of here.
Might be a big party here, you know that?
I hope so.
What are you telling him on the radio? Anything?
Just do what you've been doing all day. Just finish it.
He's been doing a good job out there, guys. Hope they can get the finish.
And you can, those of us who know Rick Hendrick know, just from listening to him, how choked he is. He typically can talk pretty well, but you can see the emotion, the concern, and what he's concerned about is that a moment ago during our commercial, Ricky Hendrick told the team he is just hanging on. The heat is that bad inside the truck. And I remember a few years ago doing a Winston Cup race that Ricky Rudd won at Martinsville, Virginia in an incredibly courageous effort. And we literally had to pick Ricky out of the truck, out of the car, and lay him on the ground and talk to him after some fluids and oxygen. And that may be the case. They may have to have people there with Ricky to get him out of the truck here with this heat today.
Ricky's going to be able to drive this truck till the checker flag, and he's going to be able to drive it as fast as he has all day. But once that checker flag drops, other than the fact he's won the race and that adrenaline may kick in, it may be difficult for Ricky to drive this truck all the way back around the pit road to go to victory lane as hot as he is right now.
So much emotion. You know, I got to believe that Ricky Hendrick, I sat with Ricky Hendrick 2 weeks ago at their shop and talked to him for quite a while, then talked to his dad for quite a while. We had that emotional piece of father and son, and Ricky said, you know, my dad has been a major part of me, but Papa Joe, you heard Rick Hendrick say Papa Joe, that's his dad. Underwent heart surgery, had a valve replacement in Charlotte.
Free to go, nice and smooth, you got plenty of lead.
2 weeks ago, he's the man who shepherded this whole program. He took his grandson under his wing and let him run late model stock cars and watched him through Legends cars and Bandoleros down at Humpy Wheels place at Lowe's Motor Speedway. Brought him now to the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. He ran 6 truck races a year ago and a great run at Pikes Peak. This year, he began the year with a second-place finish at Daytona. There's his mom, Linda, on the left side of your screen. His dad, Rick, as they watch their young man, Green, possibly 3 laps away from being realized.
2 to go this time. Lots of room.
Doc, I don't get nervous in a race car, but I'm telling you, I'm nervous here watching Rick and Linda Hendrick and knowing what they're going through, thinking I know what they're going through these last 2 laps of this race.
They have a daughter who works in the automotive group. Who's younger than Ricky. Of course, Ricky is 21 years, 3 months, and 5 days old. If he can hold on for 2 more laps, he will become the youngest driver ever to win in NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series competition. How about that?
White flag, I need one more good one. No pressure from behind.
And Dion Henske will indeed wave the white flag. So we are 1.5 miles away from
clear, all clear.
A record. How about putting Ricky Hendrick in the history books as the first winner, if he can hold on, in the history of this gorgeous facility in Wyandotte County, Kansas. We are in Kansas City, Kansas, for the inaugural O'Reilly Auto Parts 250. And now 3/4 of a mile stands between Ricky Hendrick and a GMHC Chevrolet win in NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series competition. Here he comes now.
Hell yeah! Woo! Great job, Ricky. Great job, guys. That is awesome. Oh my gosh, dream come true. Oh, hey, how do I take the brake bias off this thing?
So much emotion. You saw the tears from his dad Rick and his mom Linda, and the crew hugs and celebrate. Let's go down the range, standing by with crew chief Lance McGrew. Right?
Well, you heard the driver say it's a dream come true, and both teams over here. It's not just the 17, it's also the 24. And the crew chief is Lance McGrew. Hey, buddy, it's a dream come true. He just said on the radio. Tell us about this day for you.
I tell you what, it is such an awesome day. I just thank God, GMAC, Rick Hendrick, and Hendrick Motorsports for giving us this opportunity. This truck team that we put together to run these 17 and 24 trucks, we're getting stronger every week, and it's awesome. It's great. The first-time winner. It's an awesome deal.
Now, the last couple of weeks, you guys did a little struggling. You made a big chassis change, and that apparently was the answer.
I tell you what, we just had to find out what Ricky likes. He can't drive like Jack. He can't drive the same setup he does. I got to see some donuts.
Watch this and have fun, all right, buddy? Okay, that's Lance McGrew, the winning crew chief here. Ricky Hendrick doing the donuts for his first victory.
And how about this crowd of 75,000 Midwestern NASCAR fans on their feet, giving a high five to the son of Rick and Linda Hendrick, who becomes the youngest winner in the history of NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series racing. We'll come back and talk to him in just a moment. Right now, we're going down to Victory Lane, and Amy.
Well, a very hot but excited young 21-year-old Ricky Hendrick with his mom and dad scores his first NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series victory. Ricky, that was awesome. I know you're hot here. If you want to sit down and relax,
No.
I'll go down with you.
No.
That was awesome. With your mom and dad here,
Yeah.
you said it best. This is a dream come true for you.
It is. I tell you, I can't say enough to my father and my mother. You know, if it wasn't for Hendrick Motorsports, we wouldn't be here. Dedicate this to my grandfather. He's in the hospital, and my guys did a great job. Ever since we unloaded, we were real strong, and you know, Jack had a little trouble, and I hated for him, but now they got one win.
Oh, how does that feel?
My butt's not burning anymore.
Exactly.
But I mean, it's awesome. I mean, you just can't say enough for this team. I think we found something of what we've been looking for all year, and we'll go back to Kentucky and see what we can do there.
Well, let's get your mom and dad in here. I know they want to celebrate with you, and they're right here. You're going to get a hug from Dad. Rick, you got to be proud of this young guy.
Yeah, I really am.
It's okay. I know. I know what you're feeling. That's a very emotional dad and a proud father, too.
I don't know what you can say, folks, but just take a look at the emotion. Tears out of mom and dad. And Ricky Hendrick down there in Victory Lane becomes a 7th different winner this year. Take a look at the results unofficially. 6 trucks finish on the lead lap, led by Ricky Hendrick. Travis Quaffle, the final truck, finishing on the lead lap. And there's the top 15. Look at 16 through 20. What an emotional day here at Kansas Speedway.
Career best finishes for John Wood, Billy Bigley back in 4th and 5th. I'll tell you, great emotion. You know, Rick Hendricks won a lot of races, won a lot of championships, but I wonder if this was the most satisfying, gratifying win of his career.
Well, his drivers, Jerry Nadeau, Jeff Gordon, and Terry Labonte, have given him a lot of reasons to smile over the years, but nothing like today. I can imagine. Halfway through the season, Scott Riggs back atop the point standings, 49 points over Joe Ruffin, Jack Sprague, 95 back, Musgrave, and then Ricky Hendrick, our 7th winner of the year, back in 5th position. Next week, Kentucky Speedway from Sparta, Kentucky to Kroger, 225. For Phil Parsons, Ray Dunlap, and Amy East, I'm Jerry Punch. Once again, congratulating Ricky Hendrick on his win of today's inaugural O'Reilly 250. Remember, next week, Bluegrass State, NASCAR Craftsman Trucks at Kentucky. It's been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com. So long from Kansas City.